What's up, team? Welcome back to Pub GPS. Bringing Wizzy the Wisdom Keg in today because this is a big time knowledge drop. I'm your host, Brian Emmerich, and today we are talking about a different way to look at the cost of home ownership. I don't want to say home ownership is good or bad in this video. I want to toe a neutral line. What I want to do is give you a way to reframe what the cost of your home is and to give you an opportunity to look at what it means to be owning a home over the course of 30 years and what that means for your money. So let's get the players on the field. Here's our first piece, our first number. You are going to earn $100,000 a year for the next 30 years, and you're never going to get a raise. It's probably your attitude, and it's also probably because you're skipping that cup of coffee on the way into work to save the $2, and we need it to help us get a raise. But you're going to earn this over 30 years, which means that your total earnings are going to be $3 million, which is fantastic. At the beginning of that 30-year period, you said, I want to go out and I want to buy a house, and I'm really going to enjoy this house, and I know that it's not an investment, but how much can I afford? And you land on thinking, well, I can afford the monthly payment, because that's what most people focus on is, can I afford the monthly payment? And I want to shift that paradigm for a $300,000 house. And I'm using this as an example because that's a very nice house in the Rochester, New York area where we're located. So if you paid for this house over the course of the 30 years, you have an interest rate. Your mortgage interest rate is 3.75%. If you didn't pay any extra on the mortgage, it would cost you $200,000 in interest over the life of the loan. So the house cost $300,000, the interest cost $200,000. So you could say the cost of having that home was $500,000. Now we're going to add on a couple other expenses, but I do want to keep this clean and simple in that your property taxes in this part of the country were $10,000 a year. Well, let's make it $9,000, keep my math simple. And then your homeowner's insurance was $1,000. So every year for 30 years, you had to pay this extra $10,000. And that means that you spent another $300,000 on the home, bringing our grand total for this awesome place that you called home up to $800,000, which is a ton of money. Now let's come back over here where we didn't get a raise. I'm going to make the simple assumption that says you never got to spend 30% of this number because it went to taxes. So $1 million you never got to spend, and that leaves you with $2 million that you actually got your hands on and said, what do I get to do with this? I get to spend it, I get to save it. So let's compare the two now. You got to spend $2 million over your working career, and 800 of it, or 40% of you getting up, getting out of bed, going to work and putting in an honest day's work went towards your house, which is a ridiculously large number. So the point that I just want to reiterate and summarize is there's not a right or wrong, but so often when we hear people talk about owning a home, they look at, can I afford the monthly payment? And our job as planners is to broaden the scope and say, well, take a look at the big picture. If I gave you the opportunity to spend $2 million any way that you wanted, would you choose and think I'm going to get the most happiness out of my working years by spending 40% of it, $800,000 on the house? Maybe yes, maybe no. And it might not break the decision, but this hopefully gives you a different way, a different perspective to look at it. Thanks for joining us.